I want to welcome everybody back to our third presentation for the day. It's my second one and the last. Let's open with a word of prayer. Holy God, we thank you for the privilege of love and friendship, for the ability to be able to share our lives together. We're sorry that sometimes those relationships go wrong, but we're so thankful and blessed when those relationships go right. As we study about relationships, what they mean for us, we pray that you would guide and direct. In Jesus' name, amen. So, we've been speaking about the subject of adultery, as you all know, for several months now. In this morning's class, we looked at the subject of relationships from a different perspective than you might be familiar with. Spoke about the subject of baby boomers. That's the generation that came to adulthood after the Second World War. It's those people that were born in the 20-year period from around the 40s to the 60s. So I understand that there was a unique set of economic events that occurred that propelled this generation to wealth. This wasn't an economics class. So I wanted to look at that same history from a different perspective. So we spoke about intergenerational wealth, old money, new money. Simplified it into a catchphrase, which I said is, keep it in the family. And if you want to keep something in the family, you need to maintain control of the family. I don't use the word control in the normal way that we would use it. It's not someone's controlling somebody, not that. I use it in the sense of being able to identify something. So we spoke about a model that's existed in human societies for thousands of years. It's really based upon an agricultural model or agricultural society. And we're not speaking about aristocracy or the super rich. talking about normal people, which is most of the human beings that live in any particular generation. So what I try to show is how the society that we now have today was created back in history. So you end up getting what we call the patriarchal system, something that we know has inequalities, and something that we could say all of us, but I'll just say many of us fight and resist. This is not a defense of that system. I'm trying to understand how it was created. So if you want to dismantle it, either in your personal life or in this movement, you need to understand the consequences of that and the responsibilities that are placed upon you if you're going to replace a societal model. Spoke about the subject of adultery. So just as we closed, we went to the two Bible verses. First mention Old Testament, New Testament. And what's on the board here is dealing with the subject of adultery. So the subject of adultery, Old Testament, New Testament, Exodus 20, Matthew 5, 14, 27. Okay. So the reason why we mention that, because when I first brought this subject up, South Africa, and the date was the 6th of October. I'll just put it here. I brought to our attention that its first mention in the Old Testament has a feminine connotation, and when it's introduced in the New Testament, it's a masculine connotation. So I explained the masculine bit in those studies. And what I tried to show was chapter 5 of the book of Matthew, Sermon on the Mount, isn't moral instruction at the individual human level. So this discussion in Matthew 5:27, even though it reads at a very sort of practical human level, it says, you have heard in the old days, you should not commit adultery. I say unto you, if you look at a woman, we'll stop there. The language is very individualistic, human language. And I try to show in those earlier studies that this is not talking about men and women, talking about Israel and God. And if we call that relationship between the church and God a marriage, someone's committing adultery. Are we okay with that? And the question that needs to be asked is, who's committing adultery in this story of Matthew? The man or the woman? So the clue is that it's masculine. And we didn't get much further than that. So I just want to quickly discuss in the book of Exodus the fact that it's adultery is given in a feministic perspective. What I mean by that is that when adultery happens, if we were to apportion blame, women are going to get the blame. Simplistically, it's a bit more complicated. When we spoke about Matthew, that story is a parable. It's a the parabolic model is men and women. That's the parable. The real life thing that's going on is what? What's the real life story that Jesus is trying to point out in Matthew? So who's doing the mic? Natasha, are we speaking or just speaking out loud? Okay, nobody. Sophie. So as the mic's going, just want to point out that the man and the woman in Matthew, that's the parable. That's not the real life. And I think most people don't normally see it that way. What's the real life?
In the real life, it's about leaders, Jewish nation.
So if we're talking about adultery, you normally talk about 3 individuals. Who would the 3 individuals be at the human level? There's different stories, but we'll give a general. So the question is, in real life, between human beings, there's normally 3 individuals involved.
So what do you want? What do you want as an answer? The real life in the Bible text or in the real life?
In real life.
So in the real life, we have the spouse, the two spouse.
We have the two people who are married, the partners, so that's two.
Mhm. Et c'est un homme ou une femme, je sais pas. Ouais. And another person, the third one, it could be which one of the spouse is as an affair.
Great. So you have we'll use the heterosexual model. You have the husband and wife, and then a third person. So in this story, this real life story, who are the couple? You? Oh,
So you mean the heterosexual couple?
no, in this story,
N-
Matthew, who are the real couple?
God and his people?
So God and we'll call it the nation of Israel, represented by the leaders. Just keep. There's one more person. Who's the other person? Because it's three. Sophie said there's three. Married couple and an outsider. In this story, who's the outsider?
I don't know. I don't know how I will call this person, but in a generic term, I will say Satan.
Okay. So we've got Israel, God, married. And in a generic term, we could say the third person is Satan. Can anybody be a bit more specific? I'll do it because it's only one word. Rome. Are you okay with that, Muriel? Yeah. So Rome is the third person. So you can work out, who is whom. When it comes to the Old Testament, that's really real people committing real adultery. It's not a parable. And I hadn't discussed that before. So this morning's study was to try to give an explanation of why the Old Testament framework of adultery is about women. So I'm only doing it for information purposes. I'm not making a big point on that. Well, at least I wanted us to understand why it would be framed that way. So we're in ancient times, Old Testament. We have a man and a woman, and they're a couple. They're married. So there's another couple, and then there's just a man, single man, and a single woman. Okay. So this man sleeps with this woman. Has this woman, this one here, I'll underline it. She's married. Has she committed adultery? So I'm not asking your opinion, asking the Old Testament opinion. Not saying your answer was wrong. I'm going to give several scenarios so that you know I'm not looking for your moral opinion. I want you to tell me how God views this subject. Is that all okay? So, did the woman commit adultery? Who says, anybody say no? Okay, so for people online, everybody says that she commits adultery. And this man, has he committed adultery? Has he committed adultery? Put your hands up. So online, people aren't so sure now. So put your hands up if he's committed adultery. A couple of people say that, most. Put your hands up if he hasn't committed adultery. Okay, so it's about 50-50. So let's go to Leviticus. Chapter 20, Leviticus 20. So I'm going to put a question mark here. And so this was question 1. And to find the answer, so I'm going to put man married plus woman married. Is that all okay? And the question is, who is that adultery? Either the man or the woman. Everybody said the woman for sure, but we're not certain about the man. And we've gone to Leviticus 20, verse 10. If a man commits adultery with the wife of another man, both the adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death. So, how many adulterers are there in that story? 2. The man is committed adultery and the woman has. And you see what the punishment is. They both die. So it doesn't matter if she got seduced or she says, I wasn't sure what happened. There's no indication that she was forced. That crime is dealt differently. So this is consensual. And both of them are considered equally guilty. So I want us to point out, I want us to know in this verse, this woman, what does it say about the woman? Wife. What does it say about the man? It says nothing, doesn't it? Yeah, nothing. So that was question 1. Question 2 then, which tell me if we've already answered it. This man here, he commits adultery with this woman. Has she committed adultery? Yes? Has he committed adultery? Muriel, go for the mic. So I've got a man, as we're getting there, who's single man plus married woman. And the question is about adultery.
Alors, based upon Leviticus 20:10, so the passage doesn't tell us if the man is married or not. That means that either is married or not. So he's commit adultery whenever he goes to another woman, a married woman.
So if I can summarize that, you're saying the man has committed adultery. Single man, not married, still adultery. Is everybody okay with that? Or does anybody disagree? Vadim?
If I remember well, another discussion, I don't think he committed adultery.
Explain.
Because you need to be married to commit adultery, to be considered as adulterer.
Is that a different Bible verse? I'm not asking you to give one because you might not know it. But according to this Bible verse, what does this verse teach us? Muriel's answer was there are two people. The woman says, when it refers to the woman, it says married. It doesn't even say married, does it? It says the wife of another man. Like she belongs to him. And then it just says the man. So she says that means single or married men. Give us your opinion.
Yeah, but it says, well, I have to read the verse again.
We'll read it in French straight for you.
You can read it. I back up. I don't know yet. I have to rethink my answer.
Okay. So we'll move on. It seems that scenario 1, married man, married woman, both adultery. Single man, married woman, both adultery. They're both taken from Leviticus 20, verse 10. So This we'll do an easy version now, hopefully. Question 3. So I'll label these arrows. This was number 1. That was number 2. And now number 3 is this. Single man with a single woman. Is that adultery? Have either of them committed adultery? Put your hands up if yes. Okay, so online, nobody says that's adultery. So, we'll put a tick here and here, and we'll put a tick here for both of them. And then for the single case, we're saying neither of them have committed adultery. And then just the last question, I think. A married man. So we'll just use him again. A married man and a single woman. Man married plus woman single. Has anybody committed adultery now? So, tell me what you think. We'll go with the woman first. Has the woman committed adultery? Put your hands up if it's yes. She's sleeping with a married man. Yeah. Put your hands up if it's no. Okay. So, Sophie, you said no. Someone's married and they're sleeping with someone else. Tell me how that's not adultery.
For the woman?
The man's married. He's sleeping with a single woman. Explain how he's not committing adultery, because you said he wasn't. Or no, maybe I haven't. The woman. The woman sleeping with someone who's married. Is she committing adultery? Explain why she is not.
So I said that the woman did not commit adultery because she is not the wife of a man. She's not married.
Okay? So, if that's the case, question number 1. A woman doing the same thing to the same man. Yeah, she's doing the same thing to the same man. You agree there? You said she's committing adultery. So why is she committing adultery? This one here and this one here isn't committing adultery, even though the crime is the same. Same bed, same man.
She's not in the same relationship as a couple. She's not in a relationship, woman and man. A married relationship.
I
She's
understood.
not.
I understood that. So I'll just wait for the translators. If that's your answer, the difference is one's married and one isn't, even though the act is the same. Who is the crime against? When we say you're a criminal, woman one and woman two, we'll just say she's not a criminal. So far in our conversation, there's only one crime: adultery or nothing. So, who is woman one committing a crime against? I'll give you two options so that we're all. Is she committing the crime against her husband or her lover's wife?
Against her husband. Against her husband.
So, Sophie says she's committing a crime against her husband. Sophie, is she committing a crime against her lover's wife?
Probably yes.
We've only got the only crime we're dealing with here is adultery. There's no other crimes. So we won't think of a lesser thing. We just adultery or nothing. So is she committing a crime against her lover's wife? So if you say probably, that means she's committing the adultery crime is against not only her own husband, it's towards her lover's wife as well. Is that what you're saying? Yes. We'll jump down to question 4. The woman, single. Is she committing a crime against her partner? No, because there is no partner. Is she committing a crime against her lover's wife? And what's the crime? You said before she's not committing adultery. You changed your mind? Okay. Who still thinks she's not committing adultery? So if you said that she's not committing adultery, like Sophie, have you changed your mind or you still adamant? I'm going to ask you just identical questions. I'm going to ask identical question. So she can't commit adultery against her husband because she's not married. She's committing a crime against her lover's wife.
No.
No crime.
At least not the same crime. Because you can
There's only one crime.
Yeah. Because marriage means a contract between two people. And you can only these two parties can break it.
Okay, so Tamina said no. So now I'm going to ask everybody, put your hand up. Was the woman committing adultery? Put your hands up if it's no. Number 4, single woman. She committing adultery, sleeping with a married man. Your answer is no. Put your hand up. Okay. Put your hands up if it's yes. Okay. So online, most people say she is committing adultery. So we'll try to resolve that. See if we can. The married man, is he committing adultery? Sleeping with a single woman? Put your hands up if it's no. Oh. So so so, so okay. So give us a second. Give us one moment. You understood my question properly, Elisa? So just redo it in French so everybody gets it. My question is, put your hands up if he has not committed adultery. Oh. For those of you online, we wanted to make sure that everybody understands the question because it might seem complicated. So put your hands up if he did not commit adultery. Okay, so everybody who put their hand up says no. Just want to remind us that the woman in question 1, she had committed adultery. And you have to ask yourself the question, who is the crime against? Because in question 4, the single woman, you have to ask what her crime was. So these scenarios can be maybe not as straightforward as you think. So put your hands up if he committed adultery. So most people do that, which is what I assumed. Does anybody want to speak about why they say he did not? If you're a not person, put your hands up if you want to tell us why. So I'll do Natasha first, then Vadim, then Sophie.
So when we read Leviticus 20:10, if a man committed adultery with a married woman, if he committed an adultery with the wife of his neighbor, the neighbor's wife. So the Bible text says the woman and the man adultery, the adultery woman and man both committed adultery. In the text, the woman is not married. she is not the neighbor's wife. We are still in the example number 4. The woman is single and the man is married. So that's why I take off the notion of marriage. She's belong to someone. And I said she did not commit adultery because she's belonged to nobody.
Has Natasha persuaded you?
Natasha.
Everybody who
Verse-
put their hand up that said yes, he had committed adultery. She's now explained why she says no. And I'm asking you, has she persuaded you? Make you a no person? Was her arguments persuasive or not? So have a think. And I'll go to Vadim. So Vadim, why has he not committed adultery?
So my first argument will be the same as Natasha, because there is a loophole in this verse about the woman. It is adultery only if the woman belongs to a man. If we take only this verse. Now, if I take some context, there's also the idea that the woman belongs to the man, but not the man to the woman. So the man cannot commit adultery against his wife. And he cannot commit adultery against the other man's wife because she has no man.
Maybe you're persuaded now? Sophie, our last chance.
I don't want to take the defense because at the beginning you said do not do not stand upon our moral, but to base our thought on the Bible text, Leviticus 20:10.
I just want to add, I think I might have phrased it that way. What I meant to phrase it as, base our answers on Old Testament morality, not 21st century morality. And so Old Testament morality could be found in this verse, yes.
I think I could have been in agreement with Natasha and says that the man did not commit adultery based upon the passage.
Okay, so just to summarize, all three of them have said that Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10, just speaks about men. And it says when they do something with married women. So a man, any man, if they do something with a single woman, not adultery. That's their argument. And Vadim gave just an additional piece of information. I don't mean it to sound ugly, but it's about ownership. Who owns whom? He said that men owned women. There was an asymmetric issue about their relationship.
So does it mean that the adultery is connecting to the man statue? Is it married or not? Ah,
I got
pardon. So I repeat.
start again. I got lost.
Does it mean that
Start right from the beginning.
alors in the past is the adultery for the man is based upon the statue of the woman?
According to the answers that we've received, yes. Not based upon the man's status. And I think people find that ugly. Wrong. Just give a verse to the point that Vadim brought forth. Deuteronomy 22. Deuteronomy chapter 22. So there's quite a lot here. And we don't have time to go through all the verses because there's a lot. So it's worth your while reading this passage. It begins in verse 13 all the way to the end. So I'll give you the reference. Deuteronomy 22, verses 13, right down to the end of the chapter, which is 30. 13:30. So there's various scenarios. Just going to jump to verse 28. If a man finds a damsel, a woman that's a virgin, who is not betrothed, that means he's not engaged, he hasn't got a fiance, yes, and sleeps with her, and they find out, then the man who slept with the woman will go to her dad, pay him. And not only pay him, but then this man has to take her to be a wife. So there's a verse for that Vadim spoke about. So I'm going to go with the answers that we've been given. The woman did not commit adultery, and the married man didn't either. And you might find that shocking or wrong. I don't know. So you can see how this adultery thing works, how it's skewed or asymmetrically against the woman. Now, we've said adultery or nothing, but that's not real life. There are other crimes that we can place upon the man. We might call it fornication, which covers many things. We could say in question number 4, the woman's committed fornication. But what I want to point out that it's not adultery. So I think we've gone through all the scenarios, and we can see in half of them, even though there's lots of sleeping around going on, not adultery going on. Question 3 is straightforward to see that. You might have some other crime, but it's not adultery. Okay? So, Sophie wants to ask something. Oh, all good. So, we've addressed why in the Old Testament the focus is on women, not upon men, particularly married women. So married men seem to be able to get away with things in a way that women aren't able to. Any questions so far? Anybody disagree? Find it offensive? Disgusting? What kind of God do we serve that allows stuff like this? I don't know if you feel even angry, perhaps. Maybe you feel angry. Okay. So let's quickly go to Revelation 17. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. So we're in verse 2. 17:2. There's a woman in verse 1. She's not actually called a woman, she's called a prostitute in verse 1. We're going to be shown the judgment of the prostitute. And then in verse 2 it says, the kings have committed fornication with her. So how do we deal with that? So we have a man. So that man in Revelation 17, is he married or single? Put your hands up if he's single. Is the king single? Sometimes. Sophie says yes. How do you know? How do you know he's single?
For me, is because of the word fornication.
Okay. Yeah, that's your answer. And you said, did you say anything? Oh, did anybody say anything? Okay, so Sophie says he's single. So the woman, is she married or single? Put your hands up if she's married. Put your hands up if she's single.
We don't know.
Dorian, tell me why you think she's single.
I'm not sure she. I'm not sure she's. I'm not sure she's single. She could be a whore, a prostitute, and being married also.
Okay, so she could be, but most prostitutes aren't married. I think. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have intimate knowledge. Just as to me, no.
Are adultery and fornication the same thing, or is there a difference just because of language?
Adultery and fornication are different things. Does that help?
So how do we know when we read the verse that the prostitute is married or single, or is the king is married or single? So which word we will take to base our answers?
That was my question. So, this is not straightforward. I'm not going to get a definitive answer, but let's assume that she's married. Is there adultery going on now? If she's married, is there adultery going on? So we go to this case. When you're married, you see all red ticks. So that'd be adultery. Because it says fornication. You know she has to be single. We'll just do with the woman first. Does that answer your question, Shemaine?
No.
It answered everybody else's. Okay, so question 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time you get married women, adultery's happening. Because it says fornication, this New Testament passage, in this New Testament passage, it would indicate that she's single. Okay. So I think we can show that she's single without arguing that most prostitutes aren't married.
Because we take the word fornication, we
Yes.
said she's single. Yeah? So,
Give me 1 second. Oh. Okay, this is a reference verse. Let me put some space here. So we went to Revelation 17, verse 2, and we're asking, is there any adultery or fornication going on? So we've asked the question, is the man and the woman married or single? We can demonstrate that she's single. And a reference verse for you is Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. Galatians 5:19. For shortness of time, we'll just do it in the French. So if you go to the underlying Greek word, the original words behind those English words, French words, adultery and fornication are two separate things. Actual words are different in the original. Okay, so let's try to see if we can work out if the man is married or single. By the way, you probably already have guessed it probably doesn't make any difference. It's the one that drives whether it's adultery or not is the woman. So I won't give any verses, I'll just give sort of like a story. We're in the wilderness. Everybody agree with that? The wilderness is the 1260. The wilderness, is that still not good? Yeah. So the wilderness that we're in is chapter 17 wilderness. But in chapter 12, there's also a wilderness. And that's also the 1260. And they're the same. But in chapter 12, there's a woman, and we'll call her good. And in chapter 17, there's a woman, we'll call her bad. So we know there are two women. So as soon as you do that, you know that there's a woman somewhere. And to cut a long story short, if there's this relationship between the man and the woman, and if we make the assumption that the purpose of a king is to do what? Multiple choice. To do good or to do bad? To do good. We create kings to do good. government, by the people, of the people, and the last important one is for the people. So whether it's a dictator or a democracy or a king, those rulers were created for the people. Hopefully we all agree on that. And everybody in society, I mean, not the criminals, they want good. So the purpose of a king is to do good. You have a good woman, bad woman, and a king. And the king is good. So we've done lots of studies on this. That doesn't mean you're all persuaded. I'm just briefly explaining what's been taught. You may not agree with it yet. So, kings are good, and there's a good woman. So, you can juxtapose the women. You know the saying behind every great man, there's a good woman, or something like that? Or behind every good man, there's a great woman. Because we know, even in the patriarchal world, that women rule. They do it in subtle ways, but they run families. And most of the time, they run their husbands. If you're married, I think you know that. That's not to excuse or put aside the seriousness of abuse. That does happen. But even in many abusive societies, not individual cases, you might be surprised how much power those women have. My point is this. If there's a bad woman in this story influencing the king, you know there's a good woman doing exactly the same. We're using juxtapositioning or comparing and contrasting to show that's the methodology that's being used here. That if there's a woman that's introduced into the story, bad one, there's a good woman. And that good woman is not wandering around somewhere. She made the king good. Good women, good men, you know that relationship is what? Legal or illegal? Legal. Legal relationships are what we call married. So you can demonstrate that this man is married. Are you okay? Is anybody not okay with that?
Maybe I miss something in your explanation, but I still have the answer in my mind. How? In the passage we
I
find
understand.
that.
Do you agree there's two women? You agree on the logic to demonstrate there's two women?
What is the logic? Bad woman, so good woman?
Revelation 12, Revelation 17.
Okay, yeah.
All good?
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree that it's the women that control the men.
Based upon Revelation 17, yes.
Yes?
Mhm.
And in real life?
It could be, depends. But woman has a great influence, yes. I'm not arguing.
Okay. So this bad woman, no, a king. What is a king designed to do? Good or bad?
Good.
So if a king is doing good, someone's influencing that king, it must be a
A good woman.
good woman. So men and women have relationships. The bad woman, the relationship that she's having with the man, the good man, is described as fornication. You know that the good woman must be having a relationship with the man. Good woman, good man. What would you call that relationship?
You mean married or adultery or not adultery?
It would be marriage.
Yeah.
Because marriage is the definition of marriage is a legal relationship. Put it in a crass way, legal sex. There's illegal sex. Number 4 and number 3, we said if there's only one law, adultery, there's no crime. But if we had another law that says don't do dirty things, bad things, we could say that number 3 and number 4 are doing some bad things, but it's not adultery, it's something else. We'll call it bad sex, illegal sex, and we would call that fornication. Sometimes illegal sex is adultery, sometimes it's fornication. We just call legal sex marriage. So that's how you can show that the man is married. Juxtapositioning or compare and contrast. So, married man, single woman. Which scenario is that? Number 4. And so you can see, however ugly it is, and he's definitely married, that technically it's not adultery. Technically. We've run out of time. I'm sorry. I'll have to pick up this study next week. So keep tuned. So I know that you've been told that this is adultery because that's the connection to our whole thesis. But we've kind of shown that it might not be. So I'll wait for the feedback to come through to see one of two things. With your help, I've made a mistake. Or with your help, we've got these models which are good. Number 4 we're interested in. everybody knows. I say everybody. Number 4 is Revelation 17. Demonstrate that, I think, well. So we've said it's adultery. It appears that it might not be. Does that undo everything that we've taught? Don't think so. So we'll see what the feedback is to see how we answer this dilemma. But we've run out of time to do it here. I apologize. What's the dilemma? At ICM, you were told several times that even though it says fornication, it's adultery. And the reason that becomes significant is in Matthew 5:28. 28. Yeah, 5:28. If you think about doing it, that's where the crime begins.
And it's applied only on adultery and fornication.
Question. We love to be transparent, even if it's brings difficulties. Okay, does that answer your question? Let's close with prayer. For those online, we're going to close Sabbath as well. Hope you, I know it's not for everybody, but it is for us. Holy God, we thank you that we have the privilege right at the end of the world, when the controversy is closing, coming to a conclusion, that we still have the freedom, even the right, to keep your Sabbath and to come apart from the world so that we can fellowship with our family, our friend, those we love. As the Sabbath ends, we ask that you would bless us in this week to come. We know that we're dealing with complicated subjects. Things that seem easy are complicated, but also things that seem complicated are easy. Help us to come to answers that will give us joy, peace, and confidence that you are leading us in all righteousness. We ask for a blessing in the precious holy name of Jesus. And before we close, I ask a special prayer that you would be with us to answer even this apparent problem. In Jesus' name, amen.